Harder. So, Errol the Truth Spence is the new IBF 147-pound world champion. I told you guys for a long time about Errol Spence. I think everybody's been banging on about Errol Spence for quite a while. He's turned out to be the truth. There was times in this fight I thought Brook can beat him. But in the end, I picked Spence to win this fight. And I'm happy the way it went down. I thought it was a very close fight. And as always, I give breakdowns of back and forths. I give breakdowns of pros and cons for both fighters. And you know what? Brook could have won this. And I'm not going to gloat and say that, I told you Brook was going to get it. No, because the truth is Brook could have won this fight. It was a 50-50 fight. And I did pick Spence to win. But the bottom line is Kell Brook could have won by knockout in the early stages. And I'd be sat here saying I was wrong. I'm quite proud of my breakdown of the fight. I'm quite proud of all my breakdowns for every fight that I've done. I think I've been more or less correct on how the fight's going to pan out, more or less. I think the only one which was quite a bit off, to be fair, was Anthony Joshua and Klitschko, because I thought Joshua wouldn't be able to win in the later half of the fight, but everything else went as I thought it would, to be fair. In this fight, I thought that Kell Brook would need to win by an early knockout. If it goes late, Errol Spence will do Kell Brook, because I think as the fight goes late, I think what happens with Kell Brook, and it's quite normal, happens to a lot of fighters, they quit. I think that's what happened with Kell Brook. The bottom line is he quit, okay? It's not an opinion, it's a fact, he quit. I cannot believe there was a poll on Twitter put out, and someone put a poll out asking, did Kell Brook quit? I mean, it's not a question of if he quit or not, he did quit. He quit on his knee and he gave up in the fight, and that's the bottom line. Whether you think it's okay, it's not okay to do so, the truth is this is boxing, and the greats did not do that, so Kell Brook is not a great fighter. He's a good fighter, okay, he will beat most welterweights out there, but he's not a great fighter, and he's not a great champion. He does not have the heart of a great champion, and that's just the truth. This is Be Real TV, and let's keep it real. But, the truth is we're all human, okay, and most people watching this, myself included, we don't know how it is to get, taken into the deep waters of a championship 12-round fight in front of all them people. It's a very, very hard burden to carry. And Kell Brook does have some mental issues. He's suffered in the past from some, mental depressive issues. And Errol Spence is now the truth, I think that Errol Spence, let's just break down what I said before the fight, and let's see how the fight turned out, as I always do. I said that Kell Brook's jab and his southpaw stance are going to be a big factor in the fight. I don't think the southpaw stance played as much of a factor in the fight, because I don't think Kell Brook utilised it. Even though he could have, he didn't utilise it. The jab, on the other hand, did play a key role in the fight. I think Kell Brook's jab was very good. I thought it was very stiff, and it stopped Kell Brook from coming forward, Errol Spence from coming forward. I said this as well, that Kell Brook's size advantage, his powerful rammer of a jab that he's got, will stop Errol Spence from coming forward. I thought that on the outside, Errol Spence will be the better boxer. I said that because of Errol Spence's Olympic pedigree, he will be the better boxer on the outside. He will be quicker, he will be sharper. But I think that overall, what happened was Kell Brook used his size and pushed Errol Spence back in the fight. So, although I think Spence was sharper on the outside, he was catching Brook with the jab a lot better. I think Kell Brook just used his size advantage, really, and pushed Errol Spence back with his size. What else did I say? I also talked about Errol Spence's body attacks. I said that Kell Brook doesn't have an inside fighting game, and I think that showed in the fight as well. I think Errol Spence had a better inside fighting game, and I think that he went to game plan B, and I think that Kell Brook didn't have a game plan B. I don't think he could fight on the inside, and because of that, Errol Spence was able to, and this is the other thing I'm going to say, I also told you that Errol Spence's game plan is not going to be to come in to knock Kell Brook out. I don't think he'll do that. I said that if he does that, he'll lose the fight. I said that Errol Spence will most likely come into the fight and he'll try to box on the outside, and if that doesn't work, he'll go on the inside. I think more or less that's what happened in the second half of the fight. As he started breaking Kell Brook down, he was the better Olympic fighter, and he was on the outside, used his rangy jab. I think that Kell Brook was just huge in this fight. I think he was absolutely like a rhinoceros in this fight. He was big. I think that with the situation with Kell Brook quitting, look guys, Muhammad Ali never quit. Okay, he took a punch to the jaw. His jaw got broken. He fought on. David A. He didn't quit. You know, his heel was absolutely torn apart, and he fought on. I mean, we can even talk about the arch rival of Kell Brook, who I think, to be honest, I don't think Amir Khan will go past 4 to 5 rounds with Errol Spence. As far as the Kell Brook fight goes, we'll leave that to a side. But as far as Errol Spence goes stylistically, I do not think Amir Khan would be able to go past 4 or 5 rounds with Errol the Truth Spence. But I think that Amir Khan has a ton of heart, and he would never quit. And he has never shown as a sign of quitting. He's got an amazing heart, and he fights till the very, very, very end. Win, lose or draw. Kell Brook, on the other hand, people are saying he's a warrior and this and that, trying to get some followers. The truth is, I don't think he's a warrior. I think he's a really good fighter. I think he's top notch. He's definitely elite. But when it comes to pressure fighters, this guy quits, and he doesn't fight until the very end, and he has self-doubts. This Kell Brook, when you put him in there against a really good pressure fighter who can catch him, who can hurt him, who can wear him down, I think that he is not mentally stable enough to do it. I think Triple G showed us that. I thought that Kell Brook gave up in the Triple G fight. He stopped punching. I thought he mentally fatigued, and it's something I've been talking about for quite a while, that Kell Brook mentally fatigues. Physically, he could have carried on. I don't think he was physically that exhausted. I just think that he couldn't take his mind. And he's always talking about his mind, and training camp, he's taking his mind to this place and that place. The fact that he's even saying that shows that he has mental issues there with mental stamina. And Kusti Amato said it best, that when a fighter comes into his gym, he doesn't teach them about the physical aspect of fighting. He first teaches them about the mental aspect of fighting, and that a person will mentally tire well before they physically tire. So if you can get a fighter mentally ready, you've got 50% of the battle done. And I think that Kell Brook is not mentally fit, and he's not mentally ready for this elite level boxing when it comes to someone like Errol Spence or the 154-pound division. I do not think Kell Brook should move up to 154 pounds, because if he moves up to 154 pounds, he's got the Charlo brothers. One of them at least is there. You've got Erislandy Lara. Ooh, Kell Brook could beat Lara. He could beat Lara. But then, you know, it's about the pressure fighters, and the pressure fighters will really put it on Kell Brook, and Kell Brook will struggle against a very good pressure fighter. I mean, he could beat Liam Smith. If Liam Smith came to pressure, he'll beat him. But I mean, if he faces someone like even Sean Porter in a rematch, could be a nightmare for Kell Brook. And maybe that's the route that Kell Brook maybe should think about taking. But that could be a really bad fight for Kell Brook, because Kell Brook's got a lot to answer for. And if Sean Porter really puts it on Kell Brook, and you know, in a rematch, Kell Brook might give up. He really might give up. And I think that if he fought Sean Porter in a rematch, that would really and truly derail his one win. That his one significant win in his career would be derailed, and Kell Brook would be his legacy would be tarnished. But the bottom line is, I think that Kell Brook did a no master today, and that's the honest truth. I think he gave up in the fight. He mentally fatigued. He just gave up. He just couldn't take. I don't think he couldn't take the physical punishment, because I don't think Errol Spence was hurting Kell Brook. I don't think Kell Brook wobbles. I didn't even see him wobble in the Triple G fight. I think he's got a chin of steel. I think he's got the physical genetics and the attributes of being a great fighter, but I think his heart lacks and his mental stability is not there. Maybe it's because of the way he's been raised. Maybe it's because of who he is as a person, what he's been through. I don't know. But for me, Kell Brook, he came back from being stabbed, but you know, I don't think that shows us that he's a really all-heart fighter. He's not, and that's the bottom line. I respect Kell. He's a good fighter, great skill. I think if he faced Danny Garcia, Robert Guerrero, Keith Thurman, pretty much most of the 147-pound division, he would win. I just think that the only great pressure fighters in this division are Errol Spence and Sean Porter, and unfortunately for Kell Brook, he's not gonna. I don't think he'll get the rematch against Errol Spence, and I think that the other fighters who Kell Brook can beat will not fight him, because he's just a nightmare for these guys. So why would any of these elite level fighters come and face Kell Brook? Why would they, when Kell Brook's not going out there to America to face these guys? Why should they come over here? And the thing is this, Kell Brook could, at one point, have faced, instead of Triple G, he could have done a unification with Keith Thurman. He could have done had a fight with any of the 147 pounders, but instead he decided to face Triple G, move up, take a beating, come back down, and be forced to fight Errol Spence. And before that, he fought Jojo Dan and Frankie Gavin, and there was no need for them two fights. There really was no need to fight Frankie Gavin. That was an optional fight, and he could have faced a really good 147-pound welterweight, and Kell Brook could have won. And where would he be right now? He would have been in a great place. At least, okay, he lost to Errol Spence, but say he beat Danny Garcia. That would have been great for Kell Brook. He would have had Danny Garcia on his record, and I really think he would have beaten Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia would be on his record, probably maybe even by knockout. So, he's lost to Errol Spence, but, he's beaten Danny Garcia, he can come back, blah, blah, but we've not got that, because the only substantial win he's got of his career of recent is Sean Potter, and has now got back-to-back losses, one against a 160-pounder, another against a 147-pounder, in his own backyard, and he quit. And the reason he lost in both fights is similar. So for me, Kell Brook's I think he's going to struggle. I think he's mentally going to go into a depressive state. We're going to see Kell Brook out of the ring for a while. I don't think he's going to be coming back anytime soon. I think he's going to take time off, enjoy his money, and I think that Kell Brook, I think his days are numbered, basically. I think he may even retire soon. He'll probably move to 154 pounds, fight some bums, win some fights, but as soon as he steps up a level in the 154 pound division, he'll get taken out. The only other fight that's out there for him is Amir Khan. I think Amir Khan is more mentally stable than Kell. Kell has the physical attributes to beat Khan, but does he have the mental fortitude to beat Khan? Maybe, because I think that Khan stylistically does not pose this sort of... He's not a pressure fighter, so he won't pose that threat for Kell. On the other hand, Kell Brook isn't really a really good fighter at cutting off the ring, so he wouldn't pose that sort of problem. He's not a one-hit knockout artist either, so he won't sort of pose that sort of problem for Amir. So it is what it is. But we'll talk about Khan and Brook in another video. It's not about Khan and Brook, but yeah. As far as Errol Spence goes, he's a brilliant fighter. He attacked the body, he had the better inside fighting, as I said he would. He had mental fortitude, which is something that we didn't know. He had a really good chin, which is something that needed answering. And Errol Spence turned out to be the truth tonight, and I think he's going to go on to become a great fighter. And I think what will happen is he will unify with Keith Thurman, beat Keith Thurman. I think that he will beat Keith Thurman. That's my opinion. I love Keith, but I think that Errol Spence will beat Keith. And I think that what will happen then is Pacquiao will face Crawford at some point for the 147-pound belt. Crawford will win that belt, and we will see who is the top dog at the 147-pound tree. Is it going to be Crawford? Is it going to be Top Rank? Or is it going to be Al Heyman and Errol Spence? And that is what made Mayweather and Pacquiao such a big fight, was one side versus the other side. Could we be seeing potentially another great... And that's not going to be easily made, And I think Errol Spence will defend his titles for a long time. I think he's got this IBF strap season, and I think he's going to go on to get some more straps, and he's going to be facing off very, very soon, I think, against Terence Crawford, because I think Terence Crawford is going to whoop Pacquiao. That's my opinion. Pacquiao's a great fighter, and I think that fight will be all action-packed, and it's not an easy fight for Crawford. Pacquiao's got a strong left hand, but I think Crawford will win it, and I'm a Pacquiao fan, a huge Pacquiao fan, honestly, I am. So leave your comments in the section below. Please make sure you follow me on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube, Instagram, BeRealTV. It's all in the bottom left. Comments in the section below. Subscribe as always. BeRealTV. Kell Brook quit, did a no mass, embarrassed the UK in front of the US, showed his skills, but overall, I think it's Brook fans are really like, some of them are distraught, like, oh my god, what's he done? Some of them are still riding with him, but I think a lot have left him. And are very disappointed in what Kell Brook's done in this fight. Some are saying he deserves a lot of credit for what he did. He performed really well. Ultimately, I think Kell Brook, he lost his IBF strap and gave it up, and I think that's gonna haunt him. And he's punished himself. He's really punished himself. He's let himself down, and I don't think he can ever regain this night ever. He just won't be able to do anything to recuperate this moment ever again. Comment section below, subscribe as always, BeRealTV. Kell Brook gives up his IBF world title.